Ladies and gentlemen, Grammy winner, R. Kelly. This song goes out.
Welcome to my channel. Go ahead, hit the like, hit the share. This video, I just wanted to take a minute to reevaluate my position on a particular Jane Doe. Because I just seen some on another channel, and it just had me looking at them like, are you fucking serious? Let me just show you what I'm talking about.
On YouTube because I think it's a great song, you know what I'm saying, even though it's a lot of profanity in it, but the profanity represents just how real shit gets when you arguing with your girl and shit, you know what I'm saying. So I did it on YouTube, but I'm going to do this shit for y'all on YouTube. Hold on, I got to get me a drink. I'm going to take me a shot. Of course, we got the stogies jumping off here, so we're going to be real, man. I'm just going to be real. We just going to roll some film, and we're going to do it. I'm doing man. Put that shit over there, dog. Keep that shit over there. Hey, turn this fucking camera off. Turn the damn camera off, man. Hey, man, I swear to God, turn the motherfucking camera off.
Now, I ain't gonna lie, the very first person that set the red flags for me was Deronda Pace, based on how she met R. Kelly. And the things that I began to uncover as I researched her began to both startle me and make me realize that her story makes absolutely no sense. And then she would throw out certain things about R. Kelly and then play victim when his fans would respond. Not to mention her weird connection to the Savages and her dreams to be a star.
Cheers and jeers greeted R&B singer R. Kelly as he arrived at Cook County Court for jury selection. Kelly faces child pornography charges from a 2002 indictment. Authorities believe they have a videotape showing Kelly having sex with an underage girl about 8 years ago.
We want him prosecuted. We want him in jail. There's a tape of him urinating and having sex with a young girl.
I love R. Kelly, and I know he didn't do it. I know that's not him. He's not guilty.
Most of Kelly's supporters were women. Many felt they had to defend his honor and support the singer they love.
He's not guilty at all. They just want to bring him down and kill his image of who he is. I need to protect him because he's a good man. He's not who people make him seem like he's a monster.
Considering she put out that she was invited to a tattoo shop, that should say, hey, don't you need to be 18 to get a tattoo? And the fact that another alleged victim obviously knows this person that invited her to this tattoo shop and her connections with a certain docuseries that was put out, that should also raise some red flags. The fact that all these accusers ended up accusing each other of crimes, of scamming, and yet we're supposed to take their stories serious. Be for real. With all the information that has been put out there, it's kind of crazy for these accusers to be saying that they want their identity to be anonymous in this trial when they've spent so much time releasing so much information via social media, such as this. We're supposed to believe that this bed that Deronda is lying on is R. Kelly's. We're supposed to believe that that's his dog. Yet, first of all, we all know that his dog's name is not Snow. And contrary to what someone tried to proclaim, this floor is not the same as that which is in his, or which was in his mansion. But I guess they fail to realize that some of us do pay attention to detail. So when they put out all this information trying to prove their point, they really only confirm people like me's reservations about their story. No one's trying to victim shame them. But at the end of the day, there's too many holes in these stories to keep ignoring. There's absolutely no way I'm going to believe this photo or these photos of Deronda are photos of her inside R. Kelly's house, even if she was dealing with someone inside his camp. As I have mentioned long ago, I realized the deception with these tapes they claim they had from the beginning, especially when Michael Avenatti is releasing these alleged images from the so-called tape, and they're obviously Photoshop images, and anybody with eyes can see that. And then you have people painting the narrative as though Deronda was the girl from the first sex tape. So when you see little deceptive twist in the story, how can you continue to believe the person telling the story? You can keep saying, well, it was okay, she lied about her age, he still should have known better. Well, obviously, if you do a little digging, you will realize she had quite a lot of people fooled. And yes, there are some obsessed fans that do partake in victim shaming. But I don't think you can put all people supporting R. Kelly in the same group, when at the end of the day, some of us recognize that we can present these simple facts without bashing any of these accusers or the people involved indirectly and directly with the takedown of R. Kelly. Now, I have finally created my Patreon account. The link will be in the description. If you want to continue this video, make sure you go to the link, and I will be uploading the full video to break down each of the things that I particularly pointed out about this alleged Jane Doe. Let's just take a brief glance at the indictment. Now, just showing one set of the charges for her, being that the other indictment is going to be one and the same, let's just see what they're talking about. They're charging him in accordance to her. So it says, in or about between May 2009 and January 2010, both dates being approximate and inclusive, within the Northern District of Illinois and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally persuade, induce, entice, and coerce an individual who had not attained the age of 18 years, to wit, Jane Doe number 3, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, to engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit, violations of Illinois Criminal Code, Section 512-16D, effective 2002, aggravated criminal sexual abuse, using one or more facilities and means of interstate commerce in violation of Title 18, United States Code, Sections 2422B and 2. Also, forced labor says in or about between May 2009 and January 2010, both dates being approximate and inclusive, within the Northern District of Illinois and elsewhere. The defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally obtain the labor and services of a person, to wit, Jane Doe number 3, by means of force, threats of force, physical restraint, and threats of physical restraint to that person or another person, by means of serious harm and threats of serious harms to that person or another person, and by means of a scheme, plan, and pattern intended to cause such persons to believe that if that person did not perform such labor and services, such person would suffer serious harm and physical restraint, and a combination of such means in violation of Title 18 U.S. Codes, Sections 1589A and 2. And the last one, sexual exploitation of a minor in or about between May 2009 and January 2010, both dates being approximate and inclusive, within the Northern District of Illinois and elsewhere. The defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally employ, use, persuade, induce, entice, and coerce a minor, to wit, Jane Doe number 3, to engage in sexually explicit conduct for the purpose of producing one or more visual depictions of such conduct, which visual depictions were produced using materials that had been mailed, shipped, and transported in an affecting interstate and foreign commerce. So, by far, does that sound like anything that was stated by this person thus far? You can go back, I have a specific playlist. Go back to all her interviews, and none of what she recanted or none of what she said in her story said anything that has been laid out in this indictment against him. So let's go back. According to that indictment, they would have said evidence, the visual depictions, as they have stated. Well, the problem with that would be, for some of us, would be the chain of custody. The fact that Michael Avenatti has openly admitted taking this so-called evidence to CNN to be displayed. I'm a little bit confused at where this is legal. Where can you take evidence to show it to other people before handing it over? How can 1 minute you paint the narrative that R. Kelly is manipulating her, not knowing she's underage, and then prosecute him when this person has admitted being underage? What does the law say? Future reference for anybody else that may find themselves in this situation, being pursued by an underage girl. What does the law say when this happens? When an underage girl or boy has a false ID presenting themselves as a legal person, what does it say when something happens and they, for whatever reason, get mad or don't like the terms of the agreements? Whatever happens, they want to take legal actions on the grounds that they were a minor. Even in her story, she expects us to believe that she told him about being underage after she engaged in sex with him. But looking back at everything that I've collected, I'm starting to side-eye this whole story and wonder if she was with him at all. Like many of these other people coming out with these stories. They got all these other pictures, even though they 1 minute didn't have a phone, the next minute they did. Where's Deronda's photos with R. Kelly, I wonder? On that note, stay tuned, because I'm going to put all this in one video to summarize what I have collected over this whole period, from her involvement with the Savages, Dominique and her mother, and Bubba. Because I don't hear nobody asking his role and his responsibility and accountability in this situation, if he is the person that invited her to the party. And according to a lot of people that have come out speaking about this, R. Kelly had wristbands at these parties he would have. According to them, he didn't like to go to the clubs and stuff like that. He would do his appearances, but he would prefer to party at his home. And his entourage, of course, would be the people bringing girls. So it sounds like, in looking at these indictments, that is what they are going to manipulate and say is the trafficking in these people bringing these girls. But where are they in these indictments? Stay tuned.
Superstar not guilty of videotaping himself having sex with a minor. Kelly was charged with 14 counts of child pornography, but jurors acquitted him on every charge.
ABC 7's John Garcia is here for a closer look at the case. John?
Ron, Kathy, there was a lot of debate throughout this case about the identities of the two people seen in the infamous sex tape. Prosecutors say it was R. Kelly and an underage girl. Well, there was testimony about whether the man in the tape has a mole on his back, as the singer does. In the end, however, jurors say they never even talked about the mole or whether it was Kelly on the tape. They say they simply lacked enough evidence to convict.
When he left home this morning, R. Kelly had no idea when he'd be back. His fate was in the hands of jurors who could have sent him to prison for years. Instead, tonight, they set him free.
Word for the press, please.
He had a wave to the media and fans waiting for him. His burden lifted after being acquitted on all 14 counts of child pornography. It was a resounding victory for the superstar singer after a 6-year legal odyssey. The jury foreman tonight tells ABC7's Ravi Baichwal the key to the case, the identity of the alleged underage girl on the videotape.
Was it R. Kelly on the tape? Really was secondary to whether or not we could, beyond a reasonable doubt, assume and confirm that it was the victim that the state said it was.
Jurors say despite the international interest in the case, Kelly's celebrity status had no effect on their decision.
At the end of the day, this is a simple case of there was enough reasonable doubt in the minds of the jurors to produce a not guilty verdict.
Neither Kelly nor the alleged victim testified. Defense attorneys say they were confident about their case, while prosecutors acknowledged they had an uphill battle.
It's a horrific crime, but it also takes the soul of that victim, it takes the heart of that victim, and it places that victim in a place where they may not want to come forward.
It was obvious that the tape was not a crime at all, because it wasn't him. And I don't think it was her. You know, I never met her, but I don't think it was her either.
The 41-year-old singer has long denied having a relationship with the girl, who is his goddaughter, and while he made no public comments tonight, a spokesperson read a statement.
At this point, all he wants to do is move forward and try to put it behind him. Kelly's spokesperson said the singer wanted to be with his family tonight and wind down after an exhausting trial. But he said Kelly does have some thoughts he wants to share with the media, and he plans on doing that very soon. Kathy?